Do I need leadership coaching? Maybe you clicked on this video and you were like, what are the signs that I need leadership coaching? Or maybe you were just really curious. Either way, I'm going to break it down in this video of some of the top signs that you may actually benefit from leadership coaching, and some of them may actually surprise you. I'm Emily and I am here with Transformative Leadership. Welcome to my channel. Please hit the subscribe button. Feel free to put any comments in the comment section. I'm always happy to have all the conversations for my subscribers. So we're going to dive right into it. And I'm going to give you some of the top signs. I have a list of 10 here on my laptop, and we're going to walk through them of 10 signs that you actually may need leadership coaching. And sometimes we are not aware of the things that we actually get to change and shift as leaders until we're like, oh yeah, I actually do struggle with that. Or actually my team has told me that is something that I can improve on. And maybe just look at this list from an evaluation standpoint and ask yourself, is this something that you need to improve on? And if so, we have resources, we have support for this. If you want one-on-one coaching, we also do one-on-one coaching on this, but that's a whole other separate conversation and not why I made this video. So the 10 signs, we're gonna start with number 1, difficulty delegating tasks. So you feel like you need to do everything. And a lot of this comes from not being able to trust or being, wanting to control the outcome. And I get it from someone that's a high performer, and sometimes that mentality of, well, I can just do it easier and simpler myself. And so I'm not going to delegate it. And this is a really tricky situation when you're a leader, because then you try to do it all, you end up burning yourself out. And also, you don't give your team the opportunity to build that trust that they can actually do the task that you give them to do. So difficulty delegating task is one sign to really look at, like, do you trust your team to deliver the results? And if not, what's going on internally? What kind of control is going on and happening that you can't trust your team? Number 2 is one of my favorite ones, is avoiding difficult conversations. So you find it challenging to have difficult conversations. And this can be difficult conversations of saying no, of setting boundaries, of having a difficult conversation with your team of like, hey, these are the boundaries, these are the numbers we need to hit, and driving towards that. Or maybe it's on a different side of your life, or you have a difficult conversations in your relationships or your families. And so a lot of times that can come into like trying to avoid it and just not doing it. Number 3 is oftentimes team miscommunications. Team miscommunications. There are so many different ways that we can miscommunicate, and when we don't have the tools and the resources, that can actually lead to a misdirection and your team going in a completely different direction than you want them to go into. And so if that's happening, that's also a sign. Number 4 is people-pleasing tendencies. And I laugh at this because I've recovered from people-pleasing tendencies, and that took a lot of work and a lot of internal work and a lot of leadership development from my standpoint to really stop people-pleasing, to stop saying yes, to have boundaries, to set those boundaries. And also really, I used to be really good at it in one area of my life, but not the other area of my life, because there was people-pleasing, fixer, that kind of thing. That is not the way that you want to lead as a leader. So learning how to really let that go, build a skill set that you need to no longer do that is very freeing, and it has been amazing for me to no longer be a people pleaser, because no one really wants to be a people pleaser as a leader, because you're trying to then please everyone and you stay in this loop that you just don't get out of, and it ends up burning you out too. Number 5 is low team morale or engagement. This is a huge one. As a leader, if you see this and you may see it in their numbers, you may see it in their productivity, you may see it in an associate voice survey, or however you are measuring this. If you are not measuring, please start measuring this. This is huge because it does hit your bottom line. And so when you have that lower morale and you have that low team engagement, there are things that you get to look in as a leader, from a leader perspective, like, what am I doing as a leader to fix and shift this? What is the disconnect? Because a lot of times that disconnect, the low engagement, usually means they're not happy and they're looking somewhere else for a job. That's the bottom line of it. But you as a leader can fix and change this. And I'm a firm believer, and we coach a lot like this. It starts from the top down. You can't go into the middle of an organization and make a change, but it starts from the top down, and those changes just really expand, and it becomes like this ripple effect in your culture. Number 6 is overwhelmed with decision making. So if you feel like you're paralyzed by the amount of decisions that you are making and you feel like you just don't want to make the decisions anymore, this is probably a good sign that you're being burnt out and the decision-making process is really challenging for you. And we see this a lot with a lot of different leaders where they have to make so many decisions, and so decision fatigue can be huge. And this is where you get to learn the skills as a leader to allow your team to start making some of those decisions. You may start small and keep working up to that. You also get to decide, do I really need to make these decisions, right? Can somebody else run point with it? That's kind of goes back to one of those things of like letting go and not being micromanaging. And these are skills that you get to develop as a leader, so you don't always feel like you have to make those decisions. And also I will add for this, for the clients that we've supported in really helping get a strong decision-making process in their flow, and having like the decision-making process, like a root cause analysis, gap analysis, whatever that is, whatever that tool is, and training the team on that. So that way everyone's kind of following the same tool. Now, granted, there are some that we use very logic, and then there's some that we'll use intuition for decision-making process, and all of that's beautiful. And it's your way of leadership, right? So it's understanding what's going to work for you, and then also teaching your team how to do that. Number 7 is inconsistent results. So your team's performance is all over the chart, and your performance may also be all over the chart. Maybe nobody knows it about your performance, but one thing to see, if you have inconsistent results, that is a sign that some leadership coaching could be beneficial for you in a lot of different ways, especially when looking at numbers, looking at balancing everything, and just really seeing at a whole, like, what's going on? Why are the results inconsistent? And maybe you already know why those results are inconsistent. Then you have that awareness, and then you can put a fix in place and build those characteristics. Again, this whole video is to get you to see the awareness of what are some of the characteristics that I could develop as a leader, or what I could benefit from to develop as a leader. And some of these things, they do come up with a lot of leaders. Number 8 is resistance to change. So you and your team struggling to resist change, to adapt new processes. And this is going to be huge going into, with this whole new technology, AI, and all these different things. You have to learn how to adapt to change. And if you've been following me long enough, I talk about this a lot. Is leaders that know how to adapt to change can change like this, and in a seamless way. And there's processes you can put in place, and also training for your team, so that way they can adapt and change and evolve and shift too. It's, you change as the leader, you start changing the process, you also have to have team buy-in. But when you have that resistance, there's so much friction that it's very overwhelming, and it can also get very exhausting as a leader trying to fight against that change. So that's another huge one. Number 9, lack of vision or strategic focus. So you as a leader are really stuck in like the day-to-day operations, and you're not looking at the vision and at the strategic alignment. Like, what is the strategic alignment? It's easy to get caught up in like the day-to-day operations and being able to, just knock all these things out and then forget about what the vision is. And when you don't have that vision and you don't stay grounded in that vision as a leader, that can lead to a lot of different things where you're going in 40,000 different directions, and now your team is going this direction, you're going this direction, and everybody is in silos. And when that happens in a workplace, it's hard to break those silos then. Then you have to go back to bringing everyone back to the vision, everyone back to the strategic focus. This is what your focus is. And this is huge where KPIs come into place. This is huge for teams that want to put those systems in place to make sure that the strategic focus and the vision's up here, and then KPIs are built off that. So that way everyone is going toward the same direction, and we're not going in all different directions. So having that structure and focus will help that. Struggling to balance work and life balance. This is a huge one that we see in leaders, of how do we balance the work-life balance. And what we do when we work with clients with this, we really look at what is on their table, what is serving them in this time, in this space, and then how can we help them learn how to balance both. And a lot of times we don't do a very good job at balancing work and life balance because we are so focused on building one area of our life, we let other areas of our life go away. And whether that looks like you're really career driven, but your family is struggling, or your health is struggling, or you're not taking care of your mental health or physical health, whatever that may be. And having that balance is so important for you as a leader, because that's what builds your strong foundation and your capacity to lead. Because you know that you have to have a strong mindset, your mental has to be strong, and your body has to be strong. And then you also like strong spirits. All of those really reflect as you as a leader. So you get to build those. So those are some signs that you may benefit from leadership coaching. And now I want to talk a little bit about like, okay, these are the signs. Maybe I have a few signs and I'm ready to take that action and I'm ready for leadership coaching. How do I go about finding what I need? This is the interesting part. And one of the things that I always tell people is get clarity on what is your top 3 to 5 points that you really want to develop and that you really want to hone in and build those characteristics as a leader. Take those top 3 to 5 points and then find a mentor or leadership that can help you build those skills. And don't just go with the first person that you see online or the first person that you know, but really go with someone and ask them questions when you get on a call before you start working with them for coaching, mentoring, or whatever it is. Ask them questions. Like, what is your process? How much access do I get to you? What is the learning process? What does this look like for me? Because for us, when we go through and we give someone leadership coaching or consulting, we meet all the clients where they're at. Everything is customized. We don't put you in a one program. You're not committed for 12 months. You're not committed for, this amount of time. We meet you where you're at and support you in that ways. Some people need more accountability, so that's what they get. Other people don't need no more accountability. They're like, I just want to learn these tools and resources, and then I want to implement them, and then I want to move on, which is great. One thing I will say, you can have all the leadership coaching and consulting that you want, but if you do not embody the work on a daily basis, you are just putting in reps and you're not putting in good solid reps. It's like going to the gym and just sitting in the gym, but not actually doing the work. That's kind of what it's like. So when you go through any coaching or consulting, make sure what you learn, you practice on a daily basis. And when you put your team through this process as well, make sure that you have a check-in process with them to know that they're also building that characteristics, to know that they're actually growing and evolving that way too. Because consuming stuff is just consuming stuff, but actually embodying it from a day-to-day basis is where you're going to get your most results as a leader. So these are just 10 signs that we see. Feel free to drop them in the comments. Again, hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments if there's any other videos or any kind of topics that you are looking from a leader's perspective. Happy to make those videos for you. And until next time, please, whatever you learn through this, go embody it, practice it on a daily basis. And I would love to hear your process or your progress as you're following along with this journey on YouTube with me. And yeah, go be a leader. Be a great leader.